Imagine risking imprisonment just for printing the truth. For centuries, brave journalists have been shining light into society's darkest corners, exposing corruption and challenging power. This is the story of investigative journalism, the watchdogs of democracy. Our story begins in the 1700s in British colonial America. While most news simply announced events, some early publishers dared to challenge authority. In 1690, public occurrences, both foreign and domestic, became one of the first papers to publish stories the British authorities wanted suppressed. It was shut down after just one issue. Benjamin Franklin's New England Courant continued this tradition, printing criticisms of colonial leadership and questioning established norms, radical concepts at the time. In 1735, printer John Peter Zenger stood trial for publishing articles critical of New York's British governor William Cosby in his New York Weekly Journal. Zenger had exposed the governor's attempt to collect undeserved salaries from the public treasury. Though charged with libel, Zenger's lawyer argued something revolutionary. Truth should be a defense against libel charges. The jury agreed, acquitting Zenger and establishing a crucial precedent for press freedom that would later be enshrined in the First Amendment. By the late 19th century, America was transforming, cities growing, industries booming, wealth concentrating. But this progress had a dark side, and a new breed of journalists emerged to expose it. President Theodore Roosevelt called them muckrakers, after a character in Pilgrim's Progress who could only look downward at the filth. The name stuck, though not as the insult Roosevelt intended. In 1902, Ida Tarbell began publishing her investigation into Standard Oil's monopolistic practices. Through meticulous research spanning 2 years, she revealed how John D. Rockefeller's company used illegal tactics to crush competition. Tarbell's exposé led to a Supreme Court decision that broke up Standard Oil into 34 separate companies. Upton Sinclair spent weeks undercover in Chicago's meatpacking plants, documenting horrific conditions. His 1906 novel, The Jungle, described workers falling into rendering tanks and being processed alongside animal parts. The public was outraged not about worker conditions, but about what was in their food. President Roosevelt ordered an investigation that led to the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act, the foundations of the FDA. In 1887, journalist Elizabeth Cochran, using the pen name Nellie Bly, took undercover reporting to new heights or depths. To expose conditions at New York's women's lunatic asylum, Bly feigned insanity and got herself committed. For 10 harrowing days, she experienced firsthand the neglect, abuse, and inhumane conditions patients endured. Her article shocked the public, prompting a grand jury investigation and increased funding for mental health facilities. Bly proved that sometimes, to tell the truth, you have to live it first. The 1960s and 70s marked a golden age for investigative journalism. The most famous case began with a seemingly minor break-in at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein refused to accept the official story. Through cultivating sources, including the famous Deep Throat, and connecting seemingly unrelated facts, they uncovered a conspiracy that led straight to the White House. Their reporting eventually forced President Richard Nixon to resign, the only US president ever to do so. The scandal demonstrated journalism's essential role as a check on government power. In the 21st century, investigative journalism faces new challenges and opportunities. Digital tools enable unprecedented access to information and new ways to tell stories. In 2009, when British authorities tried to block the release of Members of Parliament expense records, the Daily Telegraph obtained leaked documents revealing widespread abuse. MPs had charged taxpayers for everything from moat cleaning to ornamental duckhouses. The scandal led to multiple resignations, criminal charges, and reforms to the expenses system, proving that accountability journalism remained vital. Around the world, outlets like Nigeria's Premium Times, the International Center for Investigative Reporting, and the Foundation for Investigative Journalism carry on this tradition, exposing corruption and holding power accountable. From colonial printers to digital data journalists, investigative reporters share a common purpose: to expose truth regardless of who wants it hidden. In an era of misinformation, their work remains essential to democracy, reminding those in power that someone is always watching.